Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L coming in to speak about Higahiro episodes 8 and 9. Hey everyone. So, very quickly, just to update about the channel. Um, I am the I am delayed on quite a few of the anime I was supposed to be covering. I'll just give you the quick rundown. As you can see, anime review videos on this channel do not perform very well. They have traditionally never performed very well, but I really like doing them. But at the same time, I'm running out of time to actually be able to cover everything I want to cover on my schedule. So that's why I kind like for Higahiro, I wait 2 weeks and I work like that. I am planning on doing 86, if not this week, next week, but it will be a roundup of everything important. And I will be doing new things in the future for some of the series that I'm covering, so that's also worthwhile looking at. And just so you know, the rest of my time is dedicated to my actual other work and also doing videos that I think will help the channel a little bit more. Unfortunately, I've also confirmed that YouTube penalizes channels that don't get a lot of views on their videos by not sending out notifications and all that. And unfortunately, with the high volume of anime reviews, it ends up really hitting the channel in the knees. But that's not a big deal. I think my new method of just doing a bunch of episodes in one video will be a little bit better, just because that way, hopefully, we'll have a higher volume of the algorithm friendly videos coming in, and then I'll keep everything up. But that is my current plan. And overall, I usually drop series around episode 8 because I just can't cover them at that point. But being able to do a bunch of them together like this is really helping. And I think I will continue doing this for the near future. But anyway, for 86 and Osamake is going to be hilarious. But 86 and Osomake are most likely going to have unified videos with a bunch of episodes talking about them. And then again, I would say keep an eye out for the end of the seasons, because I think I'll have time to do some more stuff for them. Anyway, also I think I'm going to make some Higahiro bonus content, because I think it'll do really well in the algorithm. But that's pretty much the grind right now on this YouTube channel. It's trying to get really good YouTube numbers so that the other videos I want to do will be bolstered as well. It's always such a business. But that's the quick insight. Thank you for listening. Now, going into Higahiro. So I can tell you, I don't have a lot of negative things to say for Higahiro. But as I was looking at episode 8 and 9, and just for the quick recap, episode 8 and 9 cover Sayu and Yoshida having like really strong moments, and just letting some other characters know about her situation. And then episode 9 is the reveal. And it's a suicide, as the opening suggested, and I'm very sad. I had a lot of thoughts as I was going into it. But overall, if there is one thing that actually has me really curious, I know that the light novel is going to end at volume 5. That's really short for a light novel. And when I'm looking at that, with that in mind, I'm looking at this episode 8 in particular feels very fast. Because when you look at episode 8, it's like these guys are getting all their big moments. Like, they're getting so many moments. Like, the question of, do you like Yoshida? And like all like the little subtext there is coming up faster and faster and faster. And characters are coming up with ultimatums. It really does make me feel like, if I was to give you my idea about how the season is going, or what this adaptation is like, this to me feels like an adaptation that is timed to the ending of the light novel or the source material. We have had a few situations in the past where we have had this, where an anime was running concurrently with a series that was almost ending. One of the good examples would have been Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. The anime and the ending of the manga almost lined up. I don't remember exactly the time period, but this is the kind of adaptation that we have here. If that's the kind of adaptation we have, I would not be surprised if things have been skipped. I know there is one particular character that I saw in the manga that I don't know how you could fit her in here, and I remember someone saying, I think it was Miguel, saying that they had skipped the character completely. And now looking at this does seem like it's an adaptation to coincide with the ending of the source material. But the source material, I believe, came out June 1st, today. So really interesting there. But I'm very curious to see if that's why the pacing has ratcheted up so quickly. Very interesting. Now, other things I want to talk about the episode here. How do I want to go into this? Okay, first on the annoying girl. You know, I can't have this anime without talking about the most annoying elements, right? And the annoying girl. I actually thought she was really reasonable when she was speaking to Sayu, and I liked it because we know her annoying trait is this idea that she doesn't want life to like leave her behind. She doesn't want to regret not taking her moves. So when you have her there talking to Sayu, you can see that she's channeling that energy in there, and I thought that was really well done. Let me see if I have a screen cap of it. Yeah, there are some people you can only meet now and things you can only do now. So that is a reflection of her. This is the positiveness of that trait. She is coming here and she's applying it and she's helping someone else with this. I think it's good. I think it's solid. I really enjoyed it. I think that was a good moment for the character. I think this girl does better when she's not dealing with people who are superior to her, like Goto and Yoshida. I think when she's dealing with people that need help and are vulnerable, I think she does significantly better. That does lead me into like her next little bit here. Like this is where I think it's just kind of annoying. That she sees the way that Yoshida comes in there at the karaoke. The man's just picking up this girl like it's just a normal thing. He honestly felt like if I was in her situation and I saw this guy come in and just so easily pick the girl up and, you know, take her home and all that kind of stuff, I think that's a really nice relationship. Or like I think maybe if I was being kind, I'd think like, oh, is that her brother or something like that. But regardless, a positive relationship. But then she has her horrible reaction to it because she's upset that he doesn't look at her like that. And honestly, when she does this, I just tell myself, you're a coworker, you mean nothing to him, you force yourself into his life. Sorry, I get it. You fell in love at first sight or whatever, but unfortunately, other people have been in his life longer. Sorry, he didn't feel the spark with you. You know, like there is that level of unreasonableness there, just because of you haven't done anything worthwhile to build yourself into that spot. And you know, I gotta say, like, not fair to her. You know, feelings are weird. Like Goto hasn't really done anything either to really claim Yoshida's heart, but yet he's still crushed on her because she was his type and all that kind of stuff. You know, there is that innate level of unfairness, and that's ultimately why, even though I found it annoying and I really want to like just smack her down, it's justified given just the murkiness of feelings in general. But you know, not the worst showing for the character. I really appreciated that. I think that was really respectable. And now speaking of respectable characters, the brother. Bro, I've seen a lot of romance comedy manga where some family is coming in to ruin the romance comedy and whatever. And in this case, I think I almost fell in love with this guy. He came in, he was so nice. He actually listened, he talked to them. I like when Yoshida's saying like, oh yeah, that was a pretty nice guy. I'm like, yeah, that was a super nice guy. All things considered, in a genre that runs off of misunderstandings and lack of communication, it's like, whoa, nice, 100% nice. I love this guy. And to find out that, you know, he was enabling Sayu at the beginning and he was helping out before Sayu went into her depression spiral, I was just thinking like, this is the best guy ever. And you know, it says a lot about a character when he's talking about his mother and just saying flat out like, yeah, I can't say definitely that she's put much thought into it at all. I like that he's also saying like, yeah, mom sucks. He can't even get away from that, and it's just like this level of competence and honesty and niceness is so appreciated. So appreciated. I really hope that the narrative doesn't turn him into a villain, because this guy is not a villain. This guy is reasonable by all accounts that we're seeing here. Even his, like, some people might say like, it's not fair that he's giving her a week, but it's like, he's lived with her his entire life. This is his sister. He was the one that put her up in a hotel. Like, clearly he's willing to have her hide out somewhere if he has to do that. This is beyond reasonable. This is a really nice guy. I'm not going to chastise him for giving her a time limit so kindly. Like, I think there is a level of maturity that is being approached here, and I can't, unless he is turned into a flat villain in order to justify hating him, I can't hate him. I think he has so far been a very nice surprise. But like, again, this anime, I would say, is relatively mature in quite a few spots here. Like, Yoshida is a king, and the girl's friend is also pretty great. Although, like, towards the end of episode 9, I think she gets caught up in the situation a little bit more. Really, actually, to talk about her, when she's giving Yoshida the ultimatum, it's important for the narrative in the sense that he needs the ultimatum because that is what will move us into the final 3 episodes if this has 12 episodes, right? It'll instigate him. So as an instigation, it's important. But I don't think her friend, and I forget her name, is looking at this situation fully. Just because of the nuances here. Like, if the mother is the big issue, I think Sayu should probably talk to the mother. I think Sayu should be set up for some degree of success, because she does need more resources and able to be able to compete in the adult world. Because actually, the thing is, Yoshida, if he is big, if he's a programmer and he's high up, that he's leading teams at his department, he's not making chump change. So he might actually be able to legitimately support the girl over time if they were to ever go down that route and she was to be a housewife. But for her, like, I think it is better to set her up for success at this point. And with them, like, if you were to ask me what would be an ideal ending if we are going for a romantic ending when she's older, I would say, let her live her life, let her set herself up. She doesn't need to live with her mother, but let her set herself up. Let her know that Yoshida might be invested in her, but like to keep this for another day. I know there's a lot of anime that do that kind of ending. Let her, pursue what she wants to pursue, set herself up, and then at a later date, her and Yoshida can come back together. Rom-coms tend to do that with characters. They have them do their thing, set themselves up in the real world, and then they get together after all that. I don't think that would be a bad move in this particular situation if that's the route that this anime wants to go into. And in that situation, you still have the nuance. And honestly, with the brother, I legitimately don't think he has to keep her in her mother's house. Like, I'm sure they can. The guy's a CEO. I'm sure they can figure out some alternate living arrangement if the issue with the mother is significantly that bad. Speaking of the mother, I think the mother was really nicely depicted. They are saying she's a monster, and when we see her, it's like, yeah, you're a pretty terrible person. And I found it insane when this girl compares a high schooler to her CEO's son, or like whatever he is, of her businessman's son. The man's graduated out of high school. Like, come on, comment. Like, holy crap. I mean, I imagine he had better grades, but still, like, holy shit, man, what a dick. Yeah, no, that mom deserves everything that comes to her, in all honesty. And then speaking of the final person, Sayu's friend. This is probably the part of everything that I have the biggest issues with, because it is so unfair what this girl does to Sayu. And like, there is some people that say that people that suicide are selfish people because they don't think about the people that they leave behind. I don't think that applies to every person in that category. I think there's, because of the wide spectrum, there might be people that legitimately do that because they want to hurt someone, and maybe they leave like information to hurt someone. And I'm saying that only in the idea that because there's so many that do it, there has to be one who does it for that kind of errant behavior. And even then, that's a really big asterisk there, assuming the nature of big numbers and assuming the diversity of thought. But when you look at this girl, like, this is probably one of those people that is really concerning, because it's unfortunate what goes down here, but ultimately, when you look at why she killed herself, it's like, are you okay? Like, this is beyond just a girl getting bullied. There is also significant problems in her rhetoric. Like, when you have her speaking to Sayu, she's like, I ruined Sayu, and it's like, you are idol worshipping. You have turned that girl into your own personal god. That's an unhealthy relationship. And this is the part that makes it worse for Sayu in this situation, in that Sayu is not equipped to deal with someone who would treat her as a literal goddess, or would deify her to the degree that this girl's rhetoric implied that she did. Sayu pretty much walked into a landmine here, because this girl needed significantly more help. The moment that she sees Sayu as greater than her, and she's talking about how this person was ruined by her, this is crossing the line into religious or zealot kind of thinking, or cultish type of thinking. This kind of deification of a person is not natural, and should be stayed away with a 10-foot pole. I feel bad for Sayu that she had this type of thing be the thing that instigated her. Like, honestly, I think I would have rather the girl just say that she did everything because she was being bullied and she couldn't handle it anymore. But to turn it around and turn it into deification of Sayu, that was extreme. And it just like Sayu is not like it's unfortunate she had to deal with that. But to also talk about the narrative, the reason that they had to go so far and turn it into that angle is because Sayu legitimately was a very good person. If Sayu wasn't a good person, you don't go this far, because if you had the girl suicide because of just the bullying, the narrative would have turned into Sayu didn't do enough for her. Like whatever Sayu was doing was not enough to counteract the bullying that was occurring. But what the anime wants to say is that no, Sayu did do enough, and it turns the entire impetus of this onto this girl's maladjustment. It's actually really interesting. If you want to look at developing a narrative, and if you want to look at giving rationale to why people do the things they do, this would be a really good example. I can't understate that enough, because again, what you're seeing here is a way of getting the sadness of the suicide while also preserving Sayu's value. And the alternative would have been taking down Sayu's value and saying that she didn't do enough. But with this situation, you can't make that argument. So legitimately, from pure narrative perspective, the extremes that you're seeing here comes about because of Sayu's virtues. But good God, the person that ultimately loses out here is her friend. Like with the friend, it becomes a situation where, like, girl, I legitimately think you should probably go check yourself into a mental hospital. If you're deifying another person like this, it is speaking to a lot of maladjustment. And it makes me kind of wish that Sayu never met you, because this is just, she can't do anything about that. That's a mental deviancy so far gone that she can't do anything about it. And ultimately, this is the kind of stuff, like if we were looking at Juju Kai, they'd be saying this girl created a curse for Sayu in Juju Kai's own little world that revolves around curses and all that. This was legitimately like rough. But again, I can appreciate the complexity of the narrative. If this was honestly, you know what? I do legitimately think that the Higahiro author is high tier. I think that the majority of Higahiro has been high tier. Had you had this girl offing herself due to just bullying, I would have said that that was a really mean thing to do to Sayu in terms of the narrative, because Sayu was doing so much, and to like saddle her with the idea that she didn't do too much. I might have even say that maybe, depending on how they did it, I might have even gone in and been like hard criticizing it. Like, are you kidding me? Are you insane? Are you insane? You're saying that this girl didn't do enough after what we saw her do here? Like, are you insane? But no, they did something else. And again, the dynamics within it, I think, are really good. So my overall thoughts for this is, I think that girl was significantly maladjusted, so much so that a child can't really be expected to deal with it. But then overall, it works in the bigger context. Again, I think it's like super exaggerated, and it devalues Sayu's friend quite a bit, just because this turns it into a completely different. It changes the tone of the relationship, but overall, I respect that they went higher instead of contradicting something and making Sayu look lesser. And in the episodes, we also find out that the mom was hiding information about Sayu, saying that she's locked herself in her room. And when the teacher came to check in, like, it's one of these situations again where I really kind of hope that things are getting better in schools in Japan, and I really hope bullying is taken seriously. It's just like anime bullies are always so bad. Then again, like any kind of like young adult teenage show bullies, they're always so bad because you always have to make the most tragic situations. But holy crap moly, man, like I hope there's more resources, but I don't know, like mental health in Japan is not, I don't want to say it's non-existent, but Japan has the highest suicide rates for a reason. Anyway, overall, Higahiro, so good. These two episodes were so good. I think they do a lot better when they limit the two extra girls, Goto and the workplace girl, and when they focus on Sayu's side, like, it's almost always really good. Oh, speaking of Sayu's side, this one scene, oh, that was raw. But then, like, when you see that scene, like, you understand the implications, right? And then when you have the follow through with Sayu descending into her depression and the choices she made, what you ultimately see from that scene is that she sought relief in the really sexual sense. And so when she ends up doing all these things with those guys, what you understand is like she's trying to fill a hole through this kind of physical stimulus, this kind of physical connection. So I think, again, that was raw. That was really kind of uncomfortable when you think about it in the grand scheme of things. I appreciate it because it makes you uncomfortable. I appreciate it. I think there is a level of nuance that has to be maintained there. But so far, I feel like the Higahiro author has been really high tier, and ultimately, I really appreciate the series. Definitely solid. If I was to give it a number, actually, I gotta think about that. For the standards set by Higahiro, this is probably one of the stronger episodes. Although on a technical note, you know, I will take points away for the speed, because the speed is jarring compared to the other episodes. I would take away points for that. I'm kind of I appreciate what was done with the friend, but that whole thing about the way she idolized Sayu is legitimately very concerning. I'm just not sure if that's something, just because it makes you uncomfortable. Is it appropriate for, like, it's not about whether, it shouldn't be about whether it makes me uncomfortable. It should be about whether it's appropriate for the show. Logical consistency was maintained within it, and ultimately I am upset about what it does to Sayu. Sayu didn't have really any choice in it. Sayu was doing her best. Yeah, I can't take away points for that because that it's well integrated, so that stays there. So far, the only technical thing would be the pacing of episode 8. But there's just too many other positive things. There are some questionable choices in episode 8. You know what? Episode 8 is probably the weakest of them all. Episode 8 is probably where all the problems are. Yeah, even when I think about it, episode 8 has all the problems. So you know what? 9 out of 10. I'll give it 9 out of 10 because episode 8 problems are really the pacing and some of the choices with Sayu, like having to get everything spawns from the pacing. It makes everything weird. So yeah, I give it a 9 out of 10. Episode 8 doesn't have enough of the annoying elements of previous episodes to justify more, so that's what I would say. Overall, Higahiro episode 8 and 9, I liked it. I really liked it. I think this was really impressive. And again, episode 9 is a good case study in general if you're looking at maintaining a character's virtues while also, or maintaining a character's standing while also creating the tragedy. Anyway, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I hope you have an absolutely great day.